Hi guys, this is Eva from Bay Harbor Med Spa, Miami and Atlanta. And today we are going to talk about enlarged pores and why I say that everybody that has oily skin, and it's particularly oily skin is most in young people, and a lot of black people have very oily skin. Why do I say that the sooner you start with professional facial extractions, the better off you are going to be in the long run? Because so many women come to me and say, Miss Eva, why do I have all these enlarged pores? And there are several reasons for it. But one is that you have deposit of sebum, of oil, of pus in the skin. So here is, you have deposits of whatever is happening here, it's not being taken out, and then it creates a bump. Either it creates like a wound, or it just fills up, the pore is filled up, and it expands, and it becomes bigger. When you empty it and take it out, the pore can shrink a little bit. So that's number one, that's problem number one that people have with oily skin when they don't do proper extractions. And the extraction should be done professionally. Skin is elastic, and skin can stretch to a point and can go back, but it cannot go this much and this much. It's just a little bit. So skin can go up and stretch a little bit, and then if you shrink, if you remove it. But if you leave the oil deposits in your skin, you blackheads, you comedons, and you leave them on for years, the skin will eventually become used to it and it will become stretched. And doing extractions will shrink it a little bit, but it will not shrink it as much as if you did it when you were young. Because remember, everything when you are young is more pliable, is more elastic, can work better, has more collagen, is more elastic. So when you are young and we remove this from your skin, we do extractions from your face, it's more pliable, so the pores can shrink a little bit. There's a second reason also why people get enlarged pores, and that is if you gain weight. Remember what I said? Skin is pliable, it stretches a little bit. When you gain weight, well, then you gain weight, it stretches, and then it opens the pores on your cheeks, on your nose, and you see it more, and more oil is then produced if you're a young person, if you have a bad diet, if you are overweight. Altogether, that makes a bad combination. So my suggestion would be that any person, but particularly if you are a black person, if you are a young person, white person, young person, you have oily skin, one of the things that is paramount for people with oily skin is to start treating the skin as soon as possible, because there are many effects. And if skin gets clogged, like here, hold on, let me just move this. If skin gets this is before it gets clogged, but then once it's here and you can see it's clogged, then if it's clogged, then you have a problem, and it cannot be coming out. It's clogged. The skin is actually sitting on top of it. The deposit of whether it's pus or it's oil sebum is here, and then it creates a pimple. And when it creates a pimple in black people, it will discolor the skin. So we don't want any of that. We want you to have beautiful blemish-free skin. In black skin also, when you have oily skin and you don't do extractions and then it gets clogged, it creates inflammation. The inflammation creates discoloration. So then you are dealing not only with the blackheads, not only with the expanded pores, but you're also dealing with discoloration. And you could eliminate all that if you started at a very young age doing extractions, doing proper facial extractions that would remove, and they should be done on once a month, on a fairly regular basis, particularly if you are young and if you have oily skin. Remember that young people, young men, young women too, your hormones are changing. The body goes through havoc, through a lot of things. it throws a lot of oil. The hormones are stimulating hair growth. The hormones are stimulating a lot of things are changing in the body, and then you get oily skin as well. Those people who are predisposed to oily skin, that's a problem. I will tell you one good thing with oily skin. Anybody that has oily skin, very oily skin, and you take good care of it, you will look like I at 68. You will have no wrinkles. Why? I have very oily skin. I had very oily skin all my life. But because I am in the business of skincare, and because this is what I saw at home, I constantly did facial and did extractions and did abrasions. So I always clean my skin and I remove for years. My T-zone, still my nose can be oily, and my chin can be oily, but I'm 68 years of age. You will look like me if you maintain your skin, if you clean your skin, if you do regular facials, then your skin will look like mine, and you will have no wrinkles. Why? Because the oil allows elasticity to the skin. And when you have elasticity, skin doesn't dry because there's enough oil, enough sebum in the skin to keep it supple and moist. Therefore, skin doesn't wrinkle because it's not dry. People wrinkle when they have dry skin. People wrinkle when they have dehydrated skin. But people don't wrinkle when they have oily skin. That's the one big plus. Oily skin is a pain in the butt because you have to maintain it and clean it and take care of it. But it has a huge plus when you get older. The oil starts getting less and less after 60, perhaps, after 55, after menopause in women. But the results are there. And then voila, you look like me at 68. You understand that I'm 2 years to 70. And this is how my skin looks. So if you can make it to my Miami location, if you can make Miami Beach, you can make it to my Atlanta Nuna location, then by all means, feel free to give me a call and we can make an appointment. How long does a facial take? It takes an hour and a half. The way I do it. Remember, I come from Europe. My training is European. It's not anywhere else. I do proper facial. I take my time. So it takes an hour and a half to do a proper extraction facial. So give me a call at 305-864-3333. I will repeat, 305-864-3333. And remember, if you're a black person, I am probably the #1 skincare expert in black skin in the United States, because I do this over 40 years before I came to America. So I treat black skin treatments, I treat discoloration, I treat unwanted hair, people that suffer from PCOS, endometriosis, Hashimoto disease, diabetes, all the problems that people have and have hormonal imbalances that stimulates the hair growth, all that I treat. So you can give me a call again, 305-864-3333, and we can make an appointment. If not, if you cannot make it, well, then what I would suggest is that you look for a place that is qualified. And I know I can hear it already because that happened in the past. And people said, Eva, but how do I know? How would I get somebody like you? How would I know if I'm in New York, I'm in Massachusetts, I am in Boston, I am in Los Angeles, wherever? I will be biased. No. And I will tell you that you should look for somebody who comes from Eastern Europe. You should look for a person that was born in Hungary, Poland, Russia, Romania, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Germany. These are people, mainly the Eastern European bloc countries. Skincare, just so you understand, skincare, and don't be angry, there are people that will be probably angry at what I'm saying, but that's a fact. In the Eastern European countries and in the ex-communistic countries, that's one thing that I will tell you was amazing. Because skincare was just part of maintenance for women. And It was very inexpensive, and it was subsidized like everything under communist era, under communist government. And people did go for facials. Of course, they had to pay. Not everybody went, but it was a very common thing to go for facials, to go for pedicures. Pedicures are considered, or were considered in Eastern Europe, a medical procedure. Spas were paid by the workplace under the communist era, but those spas were what an offspring is in America. The real spas in Europe, I can speak for Czechoslovakia because that's where I come from. Czechoslovakia has about 4 or 5 different spas. Those spas are what is called in America spa is very different than what a spa is in Europe. But those spas were medical, they were prescribed by a doctor, and it was all natural. They were based on natural healing waters. They were based on natural springs. They were based on natural muds. They were based on alternative medicine. I practice few of those things in my clinics in Miami and in Georgia. But those were subsidized by the government once a year for 2 weeks or so forth, particularly if you have problem with arthritis, you have problem with heart, you have problems with lungs, you have problem with your skin, you had problem with your bones, all kinds of issues. Those were alternative treatments. Now let me preface, this was the only luxury that the communists provided. Everything else that the communists provided was zero, zilch, horrible, and I would never trade for these things communism, but I'm just telling you it was the only thing that the communists provided. Yes, you had to pay for it, but they provided everything else was horrible. And how they provided this, I will just give you this little rundown. Before the communists took over in Eastern Europe after World War II, all of Eastern Europe did these treatments for payment. And these spas, that were these natural healing spas, were there. So the government simply said, okay, we are not going to let go of it. I mean, they let the buildings dilapidate and what have you, but we are going to use this, and this will be some kind of incentive or reward that we will give people. So they took it all from a free capitalistic society that existed before World War II, before horrible communism took over. But it's just, an afterthought that I have. And that's why I am a prejudiced when I say, if you're looking for somebody, it should be preferably somebody who is older and who comes from Eastern Europe, because this is a profession that is in your fingers. You sleep with it, you live it, you eat it. It's just part of you, because you saw your mother being treated, you saw your mother being going to spas, you saw what these treatments were, and the families took their children with them, and you saw your mother going for pedicures, but they were medical pedicures, and you saw your mother going for face treatments. So the profession was a profession that everybody studied, and all these professions of aesthetics were studied under the boards of medicine, because they are all linked to medicine, whether it's alternative medicine. So this is why I'm prejudiced, and I say, if you cannot come to me, find somebody. In the bigger cities, you can still find somebody that is older, perhaps my age or older, but these people have it under their fingers, and you can rest assured that you will be treated, and your skin will be treated very, very well, because that's what we know how to do, and when you do it for so many years. And I have to say this, not everything you learn in school you can put in practice. It's the same thing. A lawyer that graduates 4 years of school, would you want that lawyer to defend you in a criminal case? Of course not. That's the same thing. You wouldn't want somebody who graduated beauty school or got a certificate take care of issues that are more serious issues with your skin. You would want somebody that is a veteran. You would want somebody that is really experienced. And experience comes with years, guys, with years. So I have under my belt over 40 years. I don't say that everybody has to be 40, but I'm just saying. quality is not quantity, and quality comes from experience, hands-on. Again, if you have any questions, you can call me at 305-864-3333. Thank you guys. Ciao, Eva. Bye-bye.